ಜಾಯಿನ್ ಆಗಿಲ್ವಾ?
ಹಲೋ ಹಲೋ ಹಲೋ
Hello, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. Am I audible?
Yeah, you are audible, sir.
Okay.
ನಿಮ್ ಊಟ ಬರ್ಬೇಕು ತಾನೆ ಸುಮ್ಮನಿರಿ. ಹೋಗಿದ್ದಾರ ಮ್ಯಾಮ್? ಹೌದು ಬ್ಯಾಗ್ ಇಂದ
Good afternoon, dear participants. Please mute your audio. Whenever required, we'll ask you to unmute yourself.
ಅವ್ರಿಬ್ರು ಹೋಗಿ ಬರ್ತಾರೆ.
Sir, Dr. Aruna and Nagapal madam have joined, sir. Good afternoon, madam.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Principal Sir.
Good afternoon, madam.
Yeah, good afternoon. Good afternoon. I think we have quite a few participants by now.
It's very encouraging, actually.
Yeah.
Not only the faculty development person, Ms. Dr. Prasad, but the principal has taken keen interest in organizing this webinar. We are very
Wonderful.
happy about it.
Yes, madam. We have our chief executive online, madam, Professor B.V. Sambashivaya, sir.
Pardon? Shambhash?
Our chief executive, Professor B.V. Sambashivaya, sir, is online.
Okay, okay. Good
Good
afternoon.
afternoon, madam.
Good afternoon. Yeah, it is indeed very heartening to see all of you so engaged with this cause.
Yes, madam. Yes, certainly. And even this is being live streaming on YouTube, madam.
Yeah.
Around 140 students are watching.
Good, very good. I'll be very happy if you enter the phase 2 and bring the students along with. And in the coming batch, more teachers from lecturers from or professors from your college join this program. Principal Sir, I would like to tell you that I carried the news of faculty development program in the World Cancer Congress in Geneva. They invited me to present my abstract, which was on the faculty development program, which Dr. Rajendra Prasad had attended.
Very nice, madam. I'm congratulating you.
Yeah, so
Please
that-
extend your cooperation to our institution also.
thank you.
Further, we may also organize.
That's the message that if the educators join this cause, then probably awareness can have a ripple effect. So that was the subject of my abstract there.
Shall we start, sir?
Okay.
Yes, sir. So good afternoon to one and all present here. Jagadguru Sri Veera Simhasana Mahasamsthana Math, popularly known as Sri Sutturu Math. It has a history of 1000 years. Adi Jagadguru Sri Shivaratrishwara Shivayogi Mahaswamiji established Sri Math around the 11th century AD. The founding of the Math can be traced to a historical event linked with Sri Shivaratrishwara Shivayogi Mahaswamiji crusading for peace between two warring kingdoms. The hostility between King Rachamalla IV of the Gangas of Talakadu and King Rajaraja of the Chola dynasty was about to break up into a large-scale war. It was due to the timely intervention of Sri Shivaratrishwara Mahaswamiji. The hostility ended and the enemies became friends. Then, at the request of King Rajaraja Chola, Mahaswamiji graciously consented to establish a math on the banks of the river Kapila at Sutturu, just 26 kilometers from our college. Since then, Sri Math progressed with 24 pontiffs in various dimensions. I pay my respectful pranams to the such heritage culture of Sri Sutturu Math. My humble pranams to the lotus feet of Jagadguru Dr. Sri Shivaratri Rajendra Mahaswamiji, who was the 23rd pontiff of Sri Math, and also he was founded JSS Mahavidyapita, which was started with the intention to provide education, health, food, and shelter for each of the needy people in the society. My reverential salutations to the lotus feet of Jagadguru Sri Shivaratri Deshikendra Mahaswamiji, the 24th pontiff of Sri Math and present president of JSS Mahavidyapita, who is the guiding spirit for all the activities of institutions under JSS Mahavidyapita and every one of us. We are virtually present here. for the national level webinar on cancer awareness, organizing by our college with the collaboration of Guru Angad Dev Teaching Learning Center, New Delhi, and with a huge and significant support from Indian Cancer Society, New Delhi. This webinar aims to create an awareness about the general aspects like causes, symptoms, precautionary measures, and societal responsibilities on everyone, and so on and so forth. With a very good wish to the grand success of this webinar, let me invite our beloved principal, Dr. M. Prabhu, to welcome the guests, all attendees of this program. Over to you, sir.
A very good afternoon to all. At the outset, I offer my pranams to Guru Parampara
ಯಾರನ್ನು ಬಿಡಬೇಡ
Sri Sutturu Mutt. I extend my utmost reverence to the divine soul of His Holiness Jagadguru Dr. Sri Shivaratri Rajendra Mahaswamiji, the founder president of JSS Mahavidyapith. My humble pranams and salutation to the lotus feet of His Holiness Jagadguru Sri Shivaratri Deshikendra Mahaswamiji, the president of JSS Mahavidyapith. On this delightful afternoon session, we are gathered virtually here for the webinar of cancer awareness organized by the college under the aegis of IKAC in collaboration with Guru Angad Dev Teaching Learning Center, New Delhi, and in support with Indian Cancer Society, New Delhi. It is my great honor to extend a warm welcome to the esteemed dignitaries, guests, students, and everyone assembled here for this auspicious occasion. Before I welcome, I wish to present a brief profile of our college for information of guests and participants. Our college is run by JSS Mahavidyapith and is one among more than 350 institutions across the country. The college was established in 1964 with only 100 students. The college celebrated the Golden Jubilee in 2015, and in this period, the college has made considerable progress. The college is affiliated to University of Mysore, and the first PG program was started in 2001, and in the same year, the college was accredited with 4 stars by NAC. In 2005, the college autonomy was granted by UGC, which enabled the college to introduce several multidisciplinary programs. The second cycle of NAC assessment was done in 2008 and was awarded A grade, followed by recognition of college with potential of excellence by UGC in 2010. In the year 2011, Biotechnology Finishing School was established, supported by the government of Karnataka to make the students industry ready, and the same program was now being renamed as Biotechnology Skill Enhancement Program. During 2005 to 2012, several milestones were witnessed by the college, namely establishment of 10 PG programs, award of Our College scheme by DBT, Government of India, and 5 research center. In 2014, UGC Deen Dayal Upadhyaya Kaushal Kendra sponsored BVOC and community college schemes were introduced, and the college underwent third cycle of NAC assessment and was accredited A grade, followed by the establishment of BVOC, MOOC programs in food processing and engineering and software development, and in the same year, the second phase of college potential for excellence was also awarded by UGC. During 2017-19, 2 more PG programs were introduced, and the college got recognition as a training partner by Chief Minister Kaushala Karnataka Yojana, and 4 more research centers were added, totaling 9 research centers in the college. Another noteworthy feature is that the college got consecutive NAC A grade in 2019, under 4th cycle with CGPA 3.21. From the year 2021-22, the college has started NCA program also. The college premises have JSS Radio 91.2 FM as a community radio station. At present, the college offers 9 PhD programs, 15 postgraduate programs, 5 PG diploma programs, and 21 undergraduate programs. Various diploma programs and add-on courses are also offered. At present, the college has 3,584 students, of which 908 are from post-graduation and 2,600 students are from undergraduate program. 64 are pursuing PhD. The college has imposing infrastructure for academic, administrative, co-curricular and extracurricular activities, and also a women's hostel. There are 182 teaching staff are working in the institute. And in addition to that, the supporting staff of the college is 64. We have our mentor, Professor B.V. Sambashivaya, the esteemed chief guest of the college and the distinguished president of this function. Professor B.V. Sambashivaya, esteemed reputation as a learned personality, an administrator, and a visionary educator with extensive experience is a testament to his contribution. His roles as an administrative officer, principal, and syndicate member of the University of Mysore showcase his commitment to education. Under his stewardship, the college has achieved significant milestones, elevating its current status. On behalf of the college and all the participants, I wholeheartedly welcome you, sir. When we requested Ms. Aruna Muhammad, Honorable Secretary of Indian Cancer Society, to support organizing this webinar and deliver a talk, she has happily accepted our invitation. Ms. Aruna Muhammad had been in the field of education both at the college and school level for 40 years. Her discipline of study had been physics. Soon after her retirement as a principal of a reputed school in Delhi, she joined ICS Delhi in 2012 to engage her mind meaningfully and contribute to the community welfare. She is presently Joint Secretary Awareness and Training, and she is also the coordinator of the Faculty Development Program. With this brief profile, I take the opportunity to extend a warm welcome to you, madam. We have another speaker of the webinar, Ms. Sunita Nagpal. He is an educationist, ex-principal of DPS Sushant Lok and K.R. Mangalam World School. She is the recipient of the FACE International Women Leadership Award. With over 3 decades of experience as an educator, she has, to her credit, a vast range of teaching and administrative experience. She has been a teacher trainer and has authored a manual on enhancing listening and speaking skills. Ms. Nagpal is a postgraduate in English and alumnus of Sri Ram College for Women. Above all, she is a cancer survivor of over 2 decades. With the sincere acknowledgements for your presence today, it is an honor for me to extend a warm welcome to you, madam. I welcome humbly the officials of GAD Teaching Learning Center and Indian Cancer Society who are taking part in this webinar. I extend a welcome to Dr. N. Rajendra Prasad, who has curated this program to happen as the organizing secretary. My cordial welcome to the center of the beneficiary of this program, all the faculty, non-teaching staff, participants who are online, and also the students watching YouTube live streaming. I extend wholehearted to all the invitees and all the heads, teaching staff, media persons, and others to this program. Once again, I thank one and all. Thank you. Thank you very much.
On behalf of the college, I wholeheartedly welcome to our beloved principal, Dr. M. Prabhu sir.
Thank you, Rajendra sir.
May I now invite the chief executive of our college, our mentor, Professor B.V. Sambasivaya, to address the participants with presidential speech. Please, sir. Over to you, sir.
Good afternoon, everyone. At the outset, I pay my reverential pronouns to the Guru Parampara of Sri Suttur Mutt, my respectful salutations to the lotus feet of His Holiness, Jagat Guru Dr. Sri Shivaratri Rajendra Mahaswamiji. I also offer my humble pronouns to the lotus feet of Jagat Guru Sri Shivaratri Deshikendra Mahaswamiji. The renowned speakers of webinar, Honorary Joint Secretary, Awareness and Training, Indian Cancer Society, Delhi Branch, Mrs. Arun Umat, Educationist, ex-principal of DPS, Sushant Alok, and KR Mangalam Word School, Mrs. Sunita Nagpal, the principal of the college, Dr. M. Prabhu, all the teachers and research scholars as participants from different parts of the country, esteemed officials and representatives from GAD, TLC, ICS, the heads and faculty members of various departments of our college, the organizing committee members, students, invitees, members from media, and all attendees. It is our great pleasure to have the opportunity to organize this national level webinar on cancer awareness in collaboration with the Guru Angad Dev Teaching Learning Center with support from Indian Cancer Society. The aim of this webinar is to raise awareness in people about the causes, precautions, treatments, and various other aspects of cancer. When Rajendra Prasad proposed the idea of organizing this webinar, I had no hesitation in agreeing as creating awareness about this dangerous disease has become critically important in today's world. Cancer should be a focal point in public health efforts because it is one of the leading causes of death globally, affecting millions of people each year. Its impact is not only felt through mortality, but also in the emotional, physical, and financial toll it takes on patients and their families. Many cancers can be prevented or treated more effectively when detected early, yet a lack of awareness, delayed diagnosis, and unequal access to healthcare continue to hinder the progress, particularly in developing countries. By focusing on cancer, we can enhance prevention strategies, promote early detection, improve access to treatment, and ultimately reduce the global cancer burden, saving countless lives and improving quality of life for many. As I saw from various reports, it is something disappointed to say that the change in food culture from traditional, local to modern junk styles. Food culture has shifted dramatically from our elders' time to the present with significant implications for cancer risk. In the past, diets were composed of whole foods like fresh fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and minimally processed meats rich in fiber and antioxidants, which helped reduce cancer risk. Cooking methods involved boiling, steaming, or slow cooking, preserving nutrients, and minimizing harmful compounds. Food was largely free from artificial preservatives and additives with organic agricultural practices that reduced exposure to chemicals. Presently, modern diets are characterized by high intake of processed and packaged foods rich in preservatives, artificial flavorings, unhealthy fats, and refined sugars, contributing to the increased risk of obesity, diabetes, and cancer like colorectal and breast cancers. Cooking methods now frequently include grilling, deep frying, and barbecuing, which increase exposure to carcinogenic compounds. Additionally, widespread pesticides use and larger portion sizes combined with sedimentary lifestyles further elevate cancer risk today compared to the more balanced natural lifestyle of the past. Why it is so important to create awareness about the cancer is a question. The World Health Organization plays a critical role in the global fight against cancer by providing leadership, setting international standards, and coordinating efforts to reduce the cancer burden. According to WHO, cancer is a leading cause of death globally, with around 10 million deaths in 2020. WHO focuses on prevention, early detection, and access to treatment, especially in low and modern access to treatment, especially in low and middle income countries. It promotes cancer awareness through initiatives like World Cancer Day and supports national cancer control programs that prioritize vaccination against HPV and hepatitis B, reducing tobacco use, promoting healthy diets, and early screening programs for common cancers. WHO also works to strengthen healthcare systems, ensuring equitable access to diagnosis, treatment, and palliative care, and collaborates with partners to address risk factors like alcohol consumption and environmental carcinogens. Cancer remains one of the leading causes of death worldwide, accounting for nearly 10 million deaths annually. According to the World Health Organization, around 19.3 million new cancer cases were diagnosed in 2020. The most common types include breast, lung, colorectal, prostate, and stomach cancers. Advances in early detection and treatment and care have improved survival rates, yet many countries still struggle with high mortality rates due to limited healthcare access, late-stage diagnosis, and a lack of awareness. With increasing lifestyle risks such as tobacco use, unhealthy diets, and environmental pollutants, the global burden of cancer is expected to rise, making prevention and awareness crucial. Cancer statistics and treatment success rates vary significantly across the countries, influenced by healthcare access, early detection, and advanced treatment availability. In high-income countries like the United States and Australia, survival rates are relatively high, with 5-year survival rates around 60 to 70% due to advanced technology and widespread screening programs. Middle-income nations like India and Brazil see moderate survival rates of 40 to 50%, with the disparities between urban and rural areas due to healthcare limitations. In low-income countries, particularly in sub-Saharan Africa and parts of Southeast Asia, survival rates are much lower, around 15 to 30%, due to inadequate healthcare infrastructure and delayed diagnosis. Countries like China and UK face high cancer burdens, with survival rates improving as access to early detection and treatment expands. If I show cancer statistics in India, cancer is a growing public health concern, with over 1.39 million new cases and approximately 850,000 deaths reported in 2020. The most common cancers affecting the population are breast cancer in women, lung and oral cancers in men, and cervical cancer in women. Tobacco-related cancers account for about 27% of cancer cases in the country, reflecting the ongoing challenges of reducing tobacco consumption. Despite advancements in treatment and healthcare infrastructure, rural areas still face significant disparities in access to cancer care. Early detection and awareness programs, such as those promoted by organizations like the Indian Cancer Society, are vital to improving survival rates and reducing the overall burden of cancer in India. It is very excited to see that Indian Cancer Society is very proactive, and it has been at the forefront of cancer awareness and control in India since its inception in 1951. It implements various initiatives aimed at prevention, early detection, and patient support. Key programs include awareness campaigns to educate the public about the cancer risks, the importance of early detection and healthy lifestyle choices. ICS also conducts screening camps across urban and rural areas to identify cancer cases early, especially for cervical and breast cancers. Additionally, it provides financial assistance to underprivileged patients for treatment, organizes workshops and seminars to train healthcare professionals, and advocates for cancer control policies at the national level. Though it is comprehensive approach, the Indian Cancer Society aims to reduce the cancer burden in India and improve the quality of life for those affected by the disease. Thanks to the Indian Cancer Society's commitment to educating the society about the causes, precautions, and treatments of cancer, we are fortunate to be a part of this event. I hope that the awareness generated here does not end with this webinar. Instead, it should continue to spread to all those who can access this information. Together, we can ensure that more individuals are informed and empowered to take proactive steps in cancer prevention and treatment. We extend our heartfelt gratitude to the Indian Cancer Society for their generous support in organizing this webinar for the benefit of faculty, research scholars, and students. Would especially like to acknowledge Mrs. Saruna Umat at ICS for kindly accepting our invitation to deliver a talk. Our sincere thanks also goes to the ex-principal of TPS, Sushant Lok, Gurgaon, also distinguished educationist Mr. Sunita Nagpal contributing as speakers in this webinar. Additionally, we appreciate the collaboration of the Guru Angad Dev Teaching Learning Center in making this event possible. I believe that the knowledge shared by our speakers will inspire participants to take responsibility in raising awareness about cancers in their communities. Thank you all for your patient listening. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for your meaningful and thought-provoking advice through your presidential address. It is my pleasure to invite the first speaker of the webinar, educationist and ex-principal of Delhi Public School, Sushant Lok, Gurgaon, Haryana, Ms. Sunita Nagpal, Madam, kindly to speak on risk symptoms and prevention of general cancers. Over to you, Madam.
I'll just take a minute. Sir, I want to really thank you for such a wonderful presidential address. You have already made our job simpler by setting the stage for what we are going to speak. It's really remarkable if the authorities of the college are propagating the idea of awareness about cancer.
Thank you, madam.
Over to you, Nagpal, Madam, please.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Rajendra Prasad. And just like Mrs. Umat mentioned, I would like to also reiterate that it is very heartening to see that JSS College of Arts, Commerce and Science is so engaged, and it's almost like a mission for you. And of course, Professor Sambashivaya, thank you for all that huge write-up on cancer. You have set the ball rolling, and I will only be elaborating upon that. I can see that you all are very, very concerned. And as educationists, if we take the lead, it is wonderful. Okay, without further ado, I would like to share my screen with all of you, wherein there is a presentation I'd like to share. I'll just take a second before I put it up. I'll just share my screen. Okay, can you all see the screen? is there a presentation there?
No.
Okay.
Have you opened it already?
Yeah, okay, let me just share.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
So as we can see, and we have heard
Put
Professor
it on the reading mode first. It's fully not covering the screen, I think.
again. Okay, let me just see.
No, ठीक था उसी को मोड में.
Is that fine?
चलो ठीक है चलिए.
All right. So cancer, as we all can see, is as we all know also and are aware also, is one of the non-communicable diseases. Any myth amongst the less educated would be that you can contract cancer. However, it is a lifestyle issue, and it is not something that we contract from any entry of any organism in our body, a foreign organism in our body. We see in the next slide that cancer is the big C, and a lot of fear surrounds this disease, this ailment. Of course, there is fear of disfigurement, because if you have cancer of the neck or the throat or the mouth, a lot of disfigurement happens, which is totally visual. And there is disability also. At times your voice box is compromised, your organs have been removed, and it causes a lot of trauma. And of course, the biggest fear of all is death. Now, if we have a disease that is so dreadful, I think we must do something about it to make sure that we are aware and we prevent it from happening. First of all, let us understand what is cancer. Every organism starts with the basic unit of life, which is the cell. We are all educationists, we are students in college, we all understand this very well. And the human body is made up of trillions of cells. And these cells, all of them follow the entire life process of birth, then growth, then reproduction, and finally death. So every cell must follow this process of being born, of procreating, of reproducing into more cells, multiplying, and then dying after a certain time. So when a cell matures, it divides into two daughter cells, and the daughter cells replicate the complete DNA of the mother cell. But in case there is some disruption, not because of any outside organism entering the body, but because of certain reasons, which I will talk about in my future slides, because of them, there is some abnormality that happens, and the cell starts growing uncontrollably, and it malfunctions. In our body, we have a system of controlling malfunctions, which is our immune system. However, when the immune system gets a little compromised for whatever reasons, which are outside factors, then what happens is this abnormality is not rectified. The cell does not die a natural death. It just keeps multiplying. And when it multiplies and grows, it kind of collects together and grows into a tumor. What you can see in this next slide is the normal cell division. A mother cell divides into two daughter cells. The daughter cells, when they grow up, they become the mother cell. They again further divide, And cell, when it lives out its life, must die a natural programmed death, which is called apoptosis. However, what happens in the case of cancer cell division? Now, that where there is a damaged cell, a defective cell, which is basically because of some intervention in the DNA. Now, every cell has a DNA, which is the genetic makeup of the cell. And this is passed on to the daughter cells. Now, if in that DNA there is cell damage, there is some dysfunction, malfunction, and it just keeps multiplying, growing, and collecting together and forming a big tumor. Now, a tumor is basically a lump or a growth, a lump of many cells put together, and they are of two types. Like if we see, I'd like to tell you about tumors. Tumors can be benign or malignant. Benign, as the word suggests, is something that is not cancerous, not harmful. So if you look under if a pathologist looks in the microscope, the shape, the DNA of these cells will look and appear normal. This I'm talking about the benign tumor. And the benign tumor is very defined. It does not break the walls and permeate to other tissues. This does not happen in the case of a benign tumor. If we look at it, examples of benign tumors could be moles on skins, warts on skins, polyps in the colon, in the uterus, fibroids in the uterus, a tumor in the brain. But what happens is, if it has unrestricted growth, then there is a possibility that it hampers or hinders the nearby or surrounding tissue. So for example, if it's in the brain, it can impact the nerves and the blood vessels all surrounding it. So therefore, it needs to be removed, and this can be removed surgically. Further to that, no other treatment in benign tumor is required. Whereas if you look at malignant tumors, they are cancerous. Cancerous means the cells of the tumor spread. They metastasize. They spread to and invade nearby tissues. So just surgical removal may not be enough. Surgical removal of this kind of a cancerous tumor, a malignant tumor, it may not be enough. You'll need to probably have more aggressive treatment like chemotherapy, radiation. Is this something that somebody wants to say? We'll give you time to ask your questions later. Let me just speak on this. So it requires aggressive treatment, and these tumors, malignant tumors, grow rather rapidly as against benign tumors, which may take a long time also to grow and cause trouble. At the same time, there are some tumors which are pre-malignant. So they could be certain tumors that should be removed because they have the potency of becoming cancerous. More about all this in detail in further workshops. However, broadly for you to understand that tumors are formed with the collection of damaged cells, and if they are cancerous or malignant, they do not have a particular they're not bound by a frame. They can invade. They escape from the tumor, the cancerous cells, and they go and attack other tissues. And in other tissues or organs, they may go and find seat and form more tumors over there. So for example, if a tumor starts in the stomach and it has not been diagnosed timely, it kind of spreads, the cells spread, they travel through the bloodstream, through the plasma, through the lymphatic system, and may settle in the lungs, causing another tumor forming there, which will also be called the stomach tumor, but it will be formed in the lung. So this is like metastasis, where it spreads. But the benign tumor diagram, if you see, the cells are not cancerous, they will not spread, they will remain contained. But those tumors also preferably are removed because they may cause some correlated problems to nearby tissues. So I would like to, this is broadly an understanding of what is cancer. And let me make it once again very clear, you do not contract this through any infection. It is a malfunctioning of the gene, that it's a mutation of the gene which is not healthy, and it causes a growth inside the body, outside the body, visible, not visible, palpable, not palpable. Now we are talking about why is cancer on the rise? Professor Sambashivaya did mention in his speech also that as we progress and as we advance as a world, as we become more developed, there is more incidence of cancer. Now, why? Because there is improved detection. There is more diagnosis. Everyone is recording cases of cancer happening. So you have data, you have statistics. Many years ago, maybe 50 or 100 years ago, this was not the case. And so one thought there wasn't much cancer then. But now cancer is visible to us because it is recorded. And there is more detection, more medical intervention in detection and diagnosis. Also, people are living longer. The life expectancy has gone up. Say, for example, in India, of an average Indian in 1947, the life expectancy was 37 years. And today it is 71. This slide shows you only 69 years in 2019. And today's latest data says it's 71. So we are living longer. The longer we live, we are exposed to carcinogens for a longer period of time. Also, as we age, our immune system starts decreasing. So the elderly are more prone to cancer. So that is why we see cancer on the rise, because people are living now older and older. Increased urbanization, more pollution. Only too obvious, with development, urbanization comes. With urbanization comes the use of a lot of chemicals, a lot of development. You have pollution, you have vehicular pollution, you have water pollution, you have chemical emissions. And so growth and development, urbanization does expose us to more and more pollutants, which can be carcinogenic also in nature. A lot of them are. Changed dietary style, social norms. Dietary style, of course, there was a time we were extremely organic. Everything was grown in an organic manner. It may have been slow growing, but all the food, plant-based food, was grown slowly. And not too much of chemical fertilizers, chemical pesticides were involved in the production in farming. And now what we are doing is increasingly we are eating processed food, tinned food, packaged food, whether it is our simple, humble wafers or it is packaged cheese and packaged milk, which is not like, if you have milk, it goes sour. But when sold in Tetra packs, you can keep them for months. So there is definitely additives in all that, and we are consuming that. Of course, junk food is another thing. I'll talk about it later. So changed dietary styles could be a contributor. Late marriage, fewer children. No marriage, no children. All these are also causes for cancers in women related to breast cancer, cervical cancer, uterine cancer, and all this goes against nature. Hence, it can have implications. Lack of physical exercise. Now, there were times before cars that we could see. Oh, has my screen sharing stopped?
Yes, yes,
Doesn't
madam. You
matter.
please reshare, madam.
Okay, wait a minute.
दूसरी कर लो, अब खत्म हो रहा है ये तो.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Okay, I'll just wind it up probably. Yeah. So, yeah, it had actually gotten over only. So, basically, we see that all these factors add up to the reasons why cancer is on the rise. Now, I shall talk to you about the risk. Can you see the
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
Yeah. We are able to see that.
All right. Now, risks of cancer. Now, when we talk about risk cancer, we talk about the risk factors. Now, risk factors, what is the meaning of risk? Risk means the chances of contracting cancer. How or why we have to tell you now. We will tell you in detail about two types of risk factors, modifiable risk factors and non-modifiable risk factors. As the name suggests, modifiable risk factors are factors that can be controlled by us, modified by us, by the person's lifestyle, behavior, exposure. So we can lower it by controlling these risk factors. The first of them, of course, is primarily tobacco. Now, as my understanding goes, there are about 200 types of cancers, and tobacco causes 40 of those cancers. So, tobacco is a very, very harmful substance, whether it is passive smoking or active smoking or consuming tobacco in other forms like snuff, gutka. Tobacco has more than 7,000 chemicals. It has more than 7,000 chemicals. And of these 7,000 chemicals, there are about 70 chemicals that are carcinogenic. Carcinogenic means cancer causing. So they can cause cancer. What tobacco does is it can cause directly cancer of the lung, of the larynx, of the mouth, esophagus, throat, but it can also cause cancers of the bladder, kidney, liver, stomach, pancreas, colon, everything. Almost 40% of the cancers can be caused because of tobacco. I'm not saying that everyone who consumes tobacco is bound to have cancer. That's not the thing. It's one of the factors, and it's a high risk factor. So naturally, what tobacco does is it damages the DNA of the cell. And once it damages the DNA of the cell, it obviously produces tumors. Those cells collect and produce tumors. They could be malignant tumors. The next that we talk about is alcohol. Now, alcohol consumption, unlimited alcohol consumption, and consumption of alcohol along with tobacco is high risk. Why? Because alcohol is a solvent, as we all know, and it is easily absorbed in the bloodstream. So if we smoke along with alcohol, then the damage causing chemicals of the nicotine, of the tobacco, can be absorbed in the bloodstream and cause cancers along the way, not just along the respiratory tract, but in any other part of the body. So we can see that alcohol is almost as dangerous. Obesity. Why do I say obesity is dangerous? We are expected to have a certain body weight. Now, if we exceed that body weight, which can be calculated by your BMI, body mass index, if your body mass, I'm sure all of you are aware of body mass index. If the body mass index exceeds 30, it is obese. Above 25 is overweight. So our body mass index should be below 25 ideally. If we are obese, what happens is the fat cells produce certain hormones which are very congenial to the growth of tumors. And hence, obesity becomes a risk factor. Now, this is again a modifiable risk factor. It is in our hands. We can control it. Unhealthy diet, the more we talk about it is not enough, the less you will understand. But unhealthy diet is a huge cause because it has far too many carcinogenic components. All packaged food, all food lacking in fiber, high on salt, sugar, trans fats, saturated fats, fried food. None of this is good for the body. And it's not just that I'm going to look fat, that is bad. It is bad for cancer. It can cause cancer. Reproductive factors. Now, when we look at reproductive factors, what we mean is the reproductive health. Now, women start menstruating at a certain age. If there is early menstruation, if there is late menopause, these all can add to or become reasons or risk factors for contracting breast cancer. So also, we look at marriage, late marriage, and no childbirth or late childbirth as being reasons similarly. We also look at viruses. Now, this will be dealt with in greater detail by Mrs. Omat, my colleague, who is going to talk about the human papilloma virus and how it causes these cancers, how the hepatitis B and hepatitis C viruses also cause liver cancer, and how there are vaccines available for all of them. She's going to talk about those, so I shall not dwell on them. Stress. Stress is very, very important. Now, if we are happy, our immune system gets a boost. If we are stressed, if we are bogged down with mental trauma, then what happens is our immune system gets impacted, it gets lowered. And if our immune system cannot fight any disease happening in the cells, we are bound to, or we are vulnerable to sickness, which is including cancer. So stress also, indirectly, what happens is during stress, we tend to consume alcohol, consume tobacco. And as I have already laid enough stress on that, that is very harmful. So stress in general is not a good thing to have, and it is a modifiable factor. So I think we should make special effort at being happy. Now, non-modifiable risk factors are factors that are beyond our control, which are like environmental pollution. A lot has been already said about it. Environmental pollution looks at air pollution, which is, of course, from tobacco, from emissions in factories, from construction, from effluents in water, rivers. All these have chemicals in them, and they can be carcinogenic. Radiation. Now, radiation is exposure to all types of ionizing radiations. Now, ionizing radiations are also used for curing cancer, but that is only a very, very small and minuscule exposure. Time of exposure to those radiations is very little. It is required for killing the cancerous cells. But however, if you have exposure to radiations like in Chernobyl or in Nagasaki, Hiroshima, then you will have generations of people impacted by cancer because of exposure to ionizing radiations. There is risk of leukemia. Ultraviolet radiations are radiations from the sun. Now, ultraviolet radiation is when your body is exposed to ultraviolet rays emitted by the sun. Certain amount of sunning and staying out in the sun is required for your vitamin D also. But overexposure may cause skin cancers like we see in the Caucasians, amongst the Caucasians, the Western world. They sunbathe a lot, they can get skin cancer. Occupational exposure is again non-modifiable because a certain place where you work, you may be working in a factory, maybe in a leather tanning factory, maybe in a chemical fertilizer factory, manufacturing factory. There, your exposure is bound to happen, but preventive measures should be taken so that the exposure is limited. Genetic factors, this forms a very, very small part. It's a myth when people say, I have inherited cancer. All cancers are not hereditary, number one. Number two, it's only 4 to 5% of chance that you have inherited the gene, a defective gene. All right. So, but nonetheless, if there is a case, then action must be taken. Increased age, I have already talked about. The longer you live, the less immune you are and more exposed to carcinogens. Race and ethnicity. Now, race and ethnicity, if we talk about it, it is pertaining to certain cultures where certain habits and certain customs are followed, religious faith, you know, and so like, for example, in certain races, they have a lot of red meat, which is considered to be more harmful than lean meat, like chicken or fish. So sometimes religious and cultural factors also play a role, and that is again beyond our control. Now, identifying cancer, very briefly, I will give you this acronym called CAUTION. CAUTION means C for change in bowel or bladder habits. If you notice any of this, which is more than the normal, you know, an abnormality more than the normal, you must consult a doctor. Once in a while, it is fine, but if it is persistent, it should be investigated. A sore that does not heal. Sore means a wound. A wound that does not heal must be looked into. Unusual bleeding or discharge from any of the orifices in our body. We have ears, nose, mouth, anus, vagina, penis. Anywhere, if there is unusual bleeding or discharge other than the normal, it should be looked into. Thickening or lump, a lump formation. Breast cancers are easily identified because of the lump formation. Other cancers also thickening of the skin. You can identify it. Indigestion or difficulty in swallowing. You could be having any or cancer of the digestive tract. So if this is there, you must take action. Any obvious change in a wart or a mole. You have moles and warts in your body. Sometimes they're harmless, they just stay there. But if they start growing or changing color, you must look into it. And finally, N is for nagging cough or hoarseness. That must definitely be. See, you can have a viral which may stretch into 1 or 2 weeks, causing you to cough for 1 or 2 weeks. But beyond that, it should not be neglected. Finally, I will talk about preventive measures, which were actually simultaneously talked about when we were talking of the risk factors. Healthy eating. We must eat food that is rich in nutrients, majorly plant-based foods with a lot of fiber in it, fruits, all kinds of colors of vegetables and fruits should be consumed, and enough of all the balanced diet nutrients. As against that, if you see in the picture, there it says cut back on your burgers and pizzas. So You should not eat processed foods, refined foods, high on sugar foods, high on salt foods. Once in a while is fine, but it should not be a habit as it is in today's generation. We should definitely trim a few pounds, which means if we are overweight, we must lose weight by either exercising or cutting down on our intake of food. Ditch the smoke. No smoking, no passive smoking, no consumption of tobacco. It should be a big no-no in our lives. And I'm glad the government also supports this highly. Go easy on the alcohol. It should not be done in, it should be done in moderation and not in excess. We can see get off the couch means do a lot of exercises. And by exercises, this does not mean only stretching your muscles. It means some cardio, some aerobics, like walking, running, dancing, swimming. These kind of exercises burn the fat. So this should be done. Avoid toxic chemicals, avoid inhaling toxic chemicals as and when you can. If it is beyond your control, then it's different, but otherwise you can wear a mask, you can make sure your place of stay is away from a factory, and you must get yourself vaccinated, which Mrs. Umat will talk about, and you must know, you must practice safe sex. Now, when we were talking about reproductive factors, safe sex is one of them, because the HPV is transmitted through sexual contact. So practice safe sex and you will be safe from any related cancers. Know about your family history. This is the genetic factor. You must, if there is a family history, please make sure that you are up to date with your screenings. It is not necessary that you will contract it, but if you go for your regular screenings, all women above 40 must go for their mammograms. If you have a family history, you should go even earlier. And you must go for your x-rays, your ultrasound. All these can catch lesions and growths. So that is very important. And if we do all this, I'm sure we'll all be very healthy, very aware, and we'll catch it early. And early diagnosis is half the cure. So in this slide, we show you about Indian Cancer Society's Detection Center, which is running here in Babar Road in Delhi. And we also have a mobile van, which is fully equipped to conduct all kinds of identification, diagnosis, and we then help spread awareness in this way. So this is our Cancer Detection Center in Delhi. And this last line that we have written over here is, the conquest of cancer is by choice, not chance. Don't leave it to chance. Be aware, be proactive, go for your screenings, be aware of what's happening to your body, take care of yourself, and you shall be healthy and cancer-free. Thank you. Over to you, Dr. Prasad.
Good, Sunita. Well done. Stop sharing. Huh?
Yeah, I have.
Thank you. Thank you very much, madam. It was very informative. Though the information what you have said are very simple in language, especially to convey for teachers, students who are watching this streaming. So participants, you please raise your hands if you have any questions to pose to madam.
I think we'll take it at the end, both of us.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
madam.
we'll
Yes,
take
sure,
the
madam.
questions jointly at the end.
Yeah. Thank you very much, madam.
Thank you.
I now
Now,
request Aruna Umat madam to take over the
yes.
session. Over to you,
Allow me
madam.
to share my screen. Yes,
Yeah.
you have. Okay. Is it okay?
Yeah, it is visible, madam.
Right.
Yes, ma'am.
Good afternoon, everyone. After talking about the general risks and the symptoms, we are coming to a specific organ cancer, which Dr. Rajendra Prasad said that lets us talk about the cervical cancer, which is a very sort of preventable cancer, but due to lack of awareness, it is not being arrested. So, though number one cancer among women is the breast cancer, but unfortunately, for cervical cancer, the mortality rate is very high. It is number two cancer globally and in India. So, but the mortality rate of this cancer is quite high. The reason being that there is so much of ignorance about this cancer. Why there is so much of ignorance? People don't even know the location of the cervix. People don't even know what is cervix. You will be amazed when the educated group, cervix, you all know that it is the neck. So people think it is the neck of the human being, but it is really not just this neck, but it is the neck of the uterus. So when you don't even know the location, it is a internal part or reproductive part of the woman's organ. Breast, one can feel, one can see. So therefore, it is easy to detect the disease in the breast, that is the breast cancer. So this cancer, unfortunately, is considered to be the cancer of the unaware. And it is more prevalent in the low middle income group countries because of the lack of awareness. And it is more prevalent again in the rural part of the country. Because ignorance is so much and there are lack of facilities, which I'm going to talk about soon. Let us first understand, this is actually the anatomy of the internal organ, reproductive organs of a human body. And you can see uterus, it is all marked here. I don't have a pointer. I don't think you can see that. So uterus, we have, and then we have, this is the neck of the uterus, which connects the uterus to the vagina. Basically, a cervix has mainly the four functions. First of all, during menstrual cycle of a female, the menstrual blood comes out of the uterus to the through the vagina, through the cervix to the vagina. So then the second one is the sexual activity takes place due to with the help of the cervix. And during pregnancy, the male sperms enter through the cervix and can meet the ova, that is the egg, which is coming from the, which is sort of ejected from the ovary. And during sexual activity, their sperm can meet the ova in the fallopian tube and can fertilize it also. So during pregnancy, what happens is that the walls of the cervix, they become very thick. They contract the cervix and keep the fetus inside the uterus very safe for 9 months. So that is a very big role of cervix during pregnancy. During labor, the walls of the cervix, they become thin. They dilate the cervix for easy delivery of the child. So it dilates, it opens up and facilitates the birth of the child. So these are the main four functions, but they're very important. That's why this organ is very important. Then we come to the risk factors. Actually, the main risk of this, major risk of this is the, persistent infection due to HPV virus. HPV virus, HPV stands for human papilloma virus. So, though, as my colleague mentioned, normally this is not a contagious disease, but this particular infection, there are two viruses which can cause cancer. One is the hepatitis B virus, which is HBV, which is cause of the liver cancer, but we are not talking about it today. And other one is human papilloma virus, which is the cause of many cancers apart from the cervical cancer. So let's first talk about the cervical cancer. But this, any sexually active person will have, infection or will have HPV virus, but the good part of it is that it sort of clears up on its own. It gets washed off on its own if one maintains, if a female maintains a good genital hygiene or menstrual hygiene. So, but if this infection due to HPV is not detected and it remains persistent, then in a period of about 10 to 15 years, it can lead from precancerous stage to the fully blown up cancer of the cervix. So that's how the treatment becomes very, very long, and it becomes lethal also at times. So the second, another reason of this is early marriage and early pregnancy, multiple children, early onset of sexual activity, very young females getting into sexual activity, multiple sex partners. If a woman has multiple partners, or her one single partner is a roving partner, he's having sex with many women, then that is also a risk of cervical cancer. Then poor genital hygiene. Now, all these from after HPV virus to the next 5 I have listed down: early marriage, multiple children, early onset of sexual activity, and multiple sex partners, and poor genital hygiene. What do? They do one thing, that they cause injuries to the very soft tissues of the cervix. Because of early marriage, early pregnancy, the reproductive organs of the girl are not so developed. Then if the lady has number of children, one after the other, every year, every 2 years, then also it can cause injury to the internal parts. And therefore, the HPV virus, remains embedded in those sores or the untreated lesions which are formed on the internal part of the reproductive part, that is the cervix. So these lesions initially they are into precancerous stage, but if that somehow or the other, by screening, by physical examination, by other tests, if that is detected early and then treated early, then it will not develop into cancer. Then the next one is co-infection with HIV. Now, HIV is such a disease which totally suppresses your immune system. The immune system of the body gets compromised, therefore it is not able to detect any malignancy, the body cells. So the immune system cannot detect the malignant cells and can fight the disease. Then tobacco smoking, as any other large number of 40% of the cancers are tobacco related, and this is one of them. But apart from these risk factors, the other contributing factors, as I mentioned in the earlier one also, that it is more prevalent in the among the women, rural women who are totally ignorant. They do not have any facilities or privacy of having their own toilets, or they are staying in a single room with a lot of people around. They have harsh sex, and then absence of toilets, poor genital hygiene, and the menstrual hygiene. Therefore, that poses a risk. But fortunately, in the last, say, about 8-10 years, Now the government under the Swachh Bharat scheme is building up toilets, which is a very healthy drive in this direction. Then the other, even after the childbirth, if the maternal health is not taken care of, if there is no proper treatment, if there is there is too much of dilation of the vagina and properly it is not been addressed, so that can also cause the human papilloma virus to stay on and cause infection. Now, another reason of this is that since this cancer deals with the internal reproductive part of the women, there is a lot of stigma around it. People are, the woman is not sort of supposed to talk about it. It is always hushed up, and she doesn't find any sort of, neither her partner nor the family members can understand what she's going through. So these are the other contributing factors which increase the risk of this cancer. Then the symptoms. Initially, there are absolutely no symptoms of this cancer. And it starts with a painless condition with no symptoms at all. But later symptoms, when it is advanced, then it can lead to bleeding between the menstrual periods. We all know that after a certain cycle of say 26 to 28 days, the woman gets the menstrual periods. But if in between she gets heavy bleeding, that's a symptom. Bleeding after intercourse, or there could be a pelvic examination. After pelvic examination, there is a bleeding, then very heavy bleeding, menstrual bleeding, otherwise bleeding after menopause. Normally, a lady gets into menopausal phase after age of 50 to 55. But after that, even if the woman gets discharge, colored discharge, or bleeding or spotting, that is a very big sign of, could be a sign of this cancer. Increased vaginal discharge, which is colored, change in the color of the vaginal discharge, that, as I've mentioned already, pelvic pain, pain during intercourse, these are some of the symptoms which the ladies should be watchful about, and they must go in for consultation of the gynae. Then the human papilloma virus, like the COVID virus, it has many strains. When we had, people are aware of the word virus, COVID virus, coronavirus, it had many strains, Delta, Delta plus, then Omicron, which was not so dangerous, but Delta plus, Delta, it caused many large number of deaths due to coronavirus infection. So those were named by different, they were known as different by the different names. But in the case of human papilloma virus or HPV virus, it has as many as 200 types of strains, but they are known by numbers. And all these are not high risk, but 16 and 18 number strains are high risk, which can lead to cervical cancer. And the other low risk HPV strains like 6 and 11 or 31, 33, they can cause other cancers. And also 6 and 11 can cause 90% of the genital warts, which rarely develop into cancer, but they should be treated. That is another disease. As I mentioned earlier, every sexually active person will be infected with HPV, but it clears on its own if one is maintaining good hygienic, genital hygienic conditions. Now, other HPV related cancers, other than the cervical cancer, it is one of them I have shown in the pink image is of a female. It can cause oropharyngeal. Oropharyngeal is the back of the throat, inside the mouth, at the back of your where the tongue starts, the back part of it, that is oropharyngeal. So then we have cervical, because we are talking about cervical, then anal, the cancer of the anus, vagina, and vulva. Vulva is the outer part of the vagina. Then in the males, it can also cause HPV is not only infects a woman, because it is sexually transmitted, it gets transmitted from the man, from a male member, and therefore they also can get anal and penile cancer along with the oropharyngeal cancer, which is a part of the throat. Now, why oropharyngeal and anal and penile? It is basically because of the unusual type of sex, perverted sex. If you have oral sex, then one is likely to get this oropharyngeal cancer. And if you have anal sex, then one can get the cancer of the anus. In both men and women, but penile only in men. Now, cervical screening is of utmost important, because this cancer is not, or the HPV infection, I would call, not just the cervical cancer, HPV infection, which becomes persistent, is not only due to penetrative sex. It can come even a very close skin-to-skin genital contact also. So therefore, contraceptive methods are not very effective, but nevertheless, it must be used. Cervical cancer is a slow-going cancer, but so the precancerous stage is very long, and it may take about 10 to 15 years to develop. Cervical cancer screening is important because it can detect the HPV infection at a very early stage. And it involves testing of the precancerous lesions or the infections, and HPV infection among women who have symptoms, who have no symptoms, and they are perfectly healthy. So the regular screening is required, which I will now talk about. Now, cervical screening tests, there are a number of them. Some are, suited as a public health problem, like in overpopulated countries or the low-income group countries like, Africa and India as well. So the first test I'm going to talk about is the visual inspection test with acetic acid. It is abbreviated as VIA. Acetic acid, you all know, is a vinegar which we use in the kitchens also. So if one takes a dilute solution, say 3 to 4% of the acetic acid, and we dip a cotton swab into it, then and it is applied to the cervix, and the cervix is then viewed under a very bright light with a naked eye. If the area where the swab of acetic acid is applied, if that appears white, then it shows a positive result. Then the visual inspection, instead of acetic acid, one can also have the similar test with Lugol's iodine, same method. And if the exposed area becomes black in color, looks black in color under that bright light, then that means there is a positive infection. Both are low-cost tests. They do not require really a healthcare worker to carry on this test. Any ASHA workers or they can be trained to do this, or even the female can do this test herself. But yes, it can't see that. So therefore, but there is no gynae doctor required or nurse required to do this test. And the main problem of this test is that it depends on the estimation of one single person who views the cervix under that bright light. So no documentation is done, it is only purely on his own view that he or she finds that this is a black color or this is a white color, how much it is. So, but it is normally is used as a public health, test. But their next one is a pap smear test, which is very good test, and it is reliable also. It is one takes a smear or a fluid from the side walls of the cervix with an instrument, and then it is put on that fluid is put on the slide, and it is viewed under a microscope. So one sees it, if there are any changes on the surface of the, when one sees whether there is any changes in the cell structure of the cervix. So this test is done by Indian Cancer Society also. The picture you saw at the detection center. The pap test must be done for 3 consecutive years. No gap in between. If the test is negative, then one can give a gap of 3 years or under the consultation of the gynae. And then whenever it is repeated again, it must be done for 3 consecutive years. Then the next test is highly reliable test, very sensitive test. It is called HPV DNA test. The earlier test, which is a pap smear test, it is a cytology test, which looks at the cell structure, whether the cell structure has changed or not. But this test is a DNA. It finds out the DNA of the virus. So that's why whether it is number 16 strain or 18 strain or 6 number or 11 number strain, so that is why it is a very sensitive test. It finds out which strain of the virus has caused that infection. HPV test needs to be co-tested with pap smear, because pap smear first must tell you whether there is any infection or not. It is a HPV DNA test is quite expensive test. So normally it is not done, it is an opportunist test in the sense that a person will have to opt for it. But at Indian Cancer Society, when the pap smear test, even on the screening camps, the gynae doctor, when she sees the internal part, the cervix, and she finds that it is not a normal, seen, the cervix doesn't look to be normal, and after the pap smear test, immediately the HPV test is also done there, and to find out if there is any other infection, and then it is treated also. They are notified, the person is notified that yes, you have an infection and you come to the center, we'll treat you. Then guidelines for the screening. Normally this test should be done for all women actually from the age of 25 or 30 plus, it should be carried out regularly, the pap smear test, and WHO advises that there should be HPV DNA test within an age group of 30 to 45. 35 to 45, which I'll come back to, again by showing you a slide. So because this cancer takes about 10 to 15 years to develop, therefore, if it is done between 35 to 45, then it will develop after 10, 15 years, and you are well taken care of to find that infection and treat it. So then after that, if there are in the last 5-6 years, if the tests are negative, then the women after the age of 69-70, they need not undergo this test. And also those women who have had their total hysterectomy, that means totally the uterus, ovary and the cervix are removed, then of course cervix is not there, then there is no need of this test. But the most effective way of preventing this cervical cancer is the vaccination. Now, earlier tests are there. They are definitely, screening is one of major preventive measures because it is able to detect the infection at a very early stage and can be treated early. But the most effective form of prevention of cervical cancer is the administering the HPV vaccination. Now, why it is so? Because in an overpopulated country like India, it is not it is not very easy to carry on the pap smear tests year after year. One can't even keep account whether that lady again came for the next year or not. And also, except for the genital warts which appear on the internal parts of the female by HPV virus, no other symptoms are visible. So their cervical cancer particularly is asymptomatic in the beginning. Therefore, HPV vaccination is very important. Now, this HPV vaccination, there is very, total ignorance in our country about this vaccination. But now in urban part and, HPV vaccination being produced by indigenously in the country also. Therefore, there is more awareness coming up. So there are four types of vaccines now available. One is bivalent vaccine, as the name suggests. It is, protects against two viruses, two strains of the virus. The bivalent means two, therefore it protects the female from or the male from 16 to 18 strains of that virus. But all these vaccines, which I'm going to talk about, they must be administered to girls and boys between the age of 9 to 14 years. Why 9 to 14 years? For reasons. One, the immune response at that age between 9 to 14 is very high. Therefore, it is highly effective. And also, this vaccine is most effective before the onset of sexual activity. And it is presumed that in that age, there will be no sexual activity. Then the quadrivalent vaccine, as the name suggests, it protects against the 4 strains of the virus. 16, 18, 31, and 33. We are more concerned in cervical cancer about 16 and 18, but yes, 31, 32 also protect against the anal, vaginal, and the penile cancers. The first one has to be administered under 2 doses. It is mentioned 0 at age and then 6 to 12. After 6 to, not age, I mean first dose, and then the dose is repeated between 6 to 12 months. And the quadrivalent is also is required for under 3 doses. Then the nonavalent or the 9-valent vaccine, it protects against 9 strains. They are all listed here, but this is an imported vaccine which is not available, not really so much available in the country. The most important vaccine about which I'm going to talk now is called Cervavac. It is indigenously produced in India by the Serum Institute of Pune. You must have read it in the all over in the papers, on the TV news last year. It was launched last year, and it is said that any type of vaccine, even the 1 dose, is also very effective to the tune of about 80 to 85% protection is given by the single dose also. So boys should also be vaccinated. We are mainly talking about the girls because the vaccine is not really available in our freely in our country. Therefore, we are not talking about the boys, but since this infection comes from the male members, therefore the boys also should be vaccinated, and that is the right age also is the same as for girls. The HPV vaccines, whichever one takes, they are highly safe and effective, but the screening is still required. You know, if you think of the COVID time, everyone was having the COVID vaccine. The entire population had the COVID vaccine. So, but still RT-PCR test, if there was some infection or otherwise, RT-PCR tests were conducted. So that's how similarly here also one has to go through the screening has to be done even after taking the vaccine, because there are other causes also of the cervical cancer, the HIV, there is tobacco use. So and the second reason is that you know, one can this vaccine should be because if the infection is already there, then this vaccine is not much effective. So therefore, if you know, even when it is taken at a little later stage, if the person is actually active and the infection has already come in, then vaccine will not be able to treat it. That's why the screening is required. Some of the countries have under their immunization program, and Australia, UK, Sweden, Denmark, they all have this vaccine, and they are administering to both boys and girls in their countries. Even Asian countries which are not so developed, like you know, Bhutan, Bangladesh, Nepal, Philippines, and Sri Lanka, they have adopted it as a policy. Unfortunately, in India, it has still not come under the policy, government policy, but there is a lot of talk about it, and I am sure the political will is there. How much time it takes when the vaccine is totally available for the entire population of the females of that age group. So that is also big issues. So hopefully it will come under the vaccination program very soon. Now this is my last slide. How much effort WHO is doing in eliminating this cancer. This is, the slide says elimination strategy or global elimination target on cervical cancer, or the WHO strategy for elimination of cervical cancer. It is a global elimination. So any disease, you know, the threshold of this disease is that the cervical cancer can be considered to be eliminated if there are less than 4 cases per 100,000 women. So right now we are at 18 cases per 100,000. We have to go a long way to reach that target of under 4. Kerala is one state where there are less than or somewhere around 6 cases per 100,000 women years. Because health is a state policy, maybe they are raising a lot of awareness there. So that's a good sign. The strategy consists of 3 steps. The first step is that 90% of the girls should be fully vaccinated below the age of 15 years, that 9 to 14 years, right, when the immune response is highest. The second stage is that at the age of, between the age of 35 to 45, all women should be screened with HPV DNA test. So as I said, the developing stage, the precancerous stage of this cancer is about 10 to 15 years. So if one detects at the age of 35 or 45 or in between, whether there is persistent infection by 16 and 18 strain of HPV, then it will take 10 years or 15 years to grow to a full cancerous stage, but it can be, if it is detected at that age, then it can be treated. We have sufficient time to treat it completely. But if there are some women still left, then that 90% of those women who have reached that advanced stage, they must get the proper treatment and care to treat the cervical cancer. So if in these 3 steps, then the target is of 2030. We have a long way to go, but hopefully, by spreading this awareness about vaccination, which is also the prime focus of the Indian Cancer Society, one should be able to bring a change in the mindset of the people. It is not done by just government, by you and me, the whole community, the whole, all stakeholders, the schools and colleges, they need to educate the women and the people to go in for this vaccination. The last slide, all the women who are present here, I would urge them to take this message that you need to adopt a mindset that you are making yourself a priority. All women are considered to be the epitome of sacrifice. For them, the family healthcare, for the children healthcare, for their husbands healthcare, and that's the prime. And they just forget about themselves. But unless the women are healthy, they cannot live, or they cannot look after their families. So all those young women in the college who have not, due to earlier, for some of other reasons, or they are not aware of it, they must start doing the Pap smear test regularly and also spread the message, which I think this webinar, and along with it, many more in the future you may organize, will send the clear message of early detection, regular screening to detect any type of cancer at an early stage. Thank you.
Thank you very much, madam, for a nice, very meaningful and thought-provoking thought. Now I request the participants to raise the queries. If you have any, please put it in the chat box. Otherwise, you raise your hand.
They can unmute and then
Yes.
check up also, in case they have any.
No, there are no questions in the chat box. I think we can just open the forum. If there's anybody, they can raise their hand and speak.
Madam, there is a question from Manjunath.
Physiological effect faced by cancer.
Yes.
Physiological or psychological?
Psychological.
Physiological, it says.
It says physiological, but cancer treatment, we are not taking up today, but anyway, otherwise also we don't go into very many details, but yes, an overview one can talk about. There are, as my colleague mentioned also, that if the tumor comes in, then the only option, if it is small in size or it is detected at an early stage, then surgical removal of the tumor is necessary. So one treatment is surgery. The second one is chemotherapy to, any sort of peripheral, after removing the tumor, any peripheral malignant cells are still left out, they are killed by chemotherapy. Then the radiation also, if it is localized, but in certain types of cancers, radiation is also done after the surgery. But we are not going into the details, but these are the basic three which are, commonly used. Now, depending upon the age of the patient, the stage of the cancer, the more advanced, there is lot of research going on, and so there are many more advanced treatments have come in, which are immunotherapy and target therapy. But these are highly expensive tests, because the drugs are all imported. They are not being manufactured in our country. But hopefully, with a lot of research going on, a stage will come when we will also start producing those drugs. And these three, the treatments I had mentioned, chemotherapy and radiation therapy particularly, there are side effects of this. Number one, when the surgery and these are, that means it is already, maybe it is at an advanced stage, so the immune system is already compromised. Then there are, lot of side effects of the chemotherapy, hair loss, loss of appetite, ulcers in the mouth, and many, many other things. But the point is that they are all very sort of temporary side effects. Once the treatment is over, within 2, 3, 4 months, they are normally, they come out. And the psychological effect, if he's talking about the psychological effect, that is huge. One has to come out of it, and the entire family has to support the patient in going through. Sunita is a cancer survivor herself for the last 20 years, Sunita.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
And she's leading such an active, healthy life and conveying the message. So if she has to add something to it.
Sure. Thank you, ma'am. So psychological, I can see, Mr. Manjunath, you have mentioned psychological also. So again, psychological impact is also, I would say, temporary. Obviously, when cancer hits a family, they are going to be mentally affected and emotionally impacted. But if you learn how to cope with it and fight it out, and you have a very positive mindset that I am under treatment with the right doctors and I will not resist my treatment at all, then there is hope for me. Of course, it depends upon the stage of cancer that you are diagnosed with. Your frame of mind will also be accordingly. But Indian Cancer Society also does this largely, running support groups, visiting hospitals, giving emotional support to patients undergoing treatment. And we see that some of them are very positive, some of them are very upbeat, but some are really dejected and feel very, very disappointed and very unsure about their future. So these are things that we all need to learn how to deal with. If we can learn that, and if we can give that emotional support as a caregiver, as a friend, as family, then I think it is not such a difficult thing, and it is temporary because you come out of it and you live a normal life like I am. Yeah, I can see one more question over there, Mrs. Umar. Cancer curable point of view, what is the present status of India? Successive journey.
Oh, you mean to, they mean to say the statistics we will not
Probably
have on our,
stats. Probably
we don't
stats.
have it on our fingers, dear, but I can advise you to go through Globocan. Globocan is at a global level of 135 countries for very large number, 30 plus or some other large number of cancers. They gave the statistics. So you can go through it. It is available for India only. It is available for global. We will not be able to tell you the exact figures, but definitely certain cancers are growing fast, particularly the lung cancer now. It is due to environmental factors. Earlier, lung cancer was considered to be the disease of the smokers, but now the non-smoking people, the ladies even who don't smoke, men who don't smoke, they, even in spite of the fact that the government has done some measures to avoid the second-hand smoke also by COTPA rules. So, but this cancer is growing very fast because of the environmental pollution. So that is one very big worry about it. There is awareness increasing for breast cancers, but still globally, I'm saying, but it is treatable. So in other countries, the mortality rate is low. In our country, still, because of the lack of awareness, even the breast cancer cases, they are growing definitely at a younger age also, but mortality is still quite high because of not able to detect early. So that is
So early detection is half the cure. That
yes.
is the whole intent.
And avoiding the tobacco. That
Yes.
tobacco is such a deadly substance to consume, which leads to 40% of the cancers. So therefore, even the smokers in this group, if there are any, please go in for regular or even self-examination of your oral cavities. See if there are any patches. Otherwise, develop that strong willpower to quit. And to the youngsters who are on the YouTube or otherwise, I don't think the students are here, but if they are here or on the YouTube watching it anytime, the best thing is not to start this habit under any pressures, whether they are the peer pressure or the stress of their studies or whatever, because it is difficult to
give up.
to quit. So tobacco is really, really very harmful substance for cancer. It's a high risk.
Ma'am, sorry for interrupting. There's another question which says, are clinical trials for cancer legitimate?
Clinical, oh, yeah.
Trials.
Trials, yeah. Surely, I'm a game for it, in the sense I always endorse that. People say it is a myth that clinical trials, they do it and they just leave the person to her own fate. But no, the clinical trials are, as the research advances, clinical trials are going on, new drugs are being produced. Therefore, and they don't do it, hurriedly, that, today somebody found in the lab that this is a good drug for cancer, and they start administering on the human being. There are many trials, first on the animals, then they have they have in different 3-4 stages they do it. First they have in a very small group, under a very strict watchful eye of the experts, the oncologists and the team of doctors, and then say 100 or so, then it goes to a next one level, then it goes then to a much higher number of patients, and they are regularly being supervised for the side effects, for the dosage to be given, and so on. So therefore, it is not a very casual way of administering the drugs under clinical trials. Yeah. Okay.
All right. I think that's all that the questions are.
Well,
Over
Dr.
to
Rajendra Prasad, we are very, very thankful to you, to the principal, and Shri Samba Shivaji for giving us this opportunity. Anytime you need our help, but we would urge that this program be carried forward and you motivate your other staff also for the next batch of faculty development program, so that a group of teachers are trained here, and they, as a group, they advise and sensitize the youth. That is very important. So we'll be very grateful if that happens. It is not in the interest of Indian Cancer Society, it is in the interest of the whole community.
Yes.
We are only, trying to help people, but unless the community cooperates, it can't be carried forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else,
Thank you.
Doctor?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much, madam. We are very grateful to you for
Good.
having addressing our faculty as well as students on such a nice topics. So I
Thank you,
hope
Vishali, for coming. Though we could manage it without you, but Vishali is really the girl on helping us at Indian Cancer Society. She has come up here because we were not 100% sure whether we'll be able to share our PPT.
Brains.
Today the office is closed, being a Saturday.
yeah,
All right.
definitely.
Shall we call it a day now?
So,
Yes,
yeah.
madam. Yes, just a minute, madam.
Sure.
So this is a
Okay.
time we have reached to the fag end of this national level webinar. I hope all the participants have been taken fruits for having the taste of knowledge. Really, the resource persons have made us to disseminate various aspects related to cancer, particularly the vaccination. We have to be very attentive in order to complete all those formalities, so that we have to ensure out of cancer, out of danger. Let me take this opportunity to show my sincere gratitude to everyone who have taken part in this program. So first of all, I would like to extend my heartfelt thanks to our Chief Executive, Professor B.V. Sambashivaya sir, who has kindly extended his all support in organizing this webinar in a meaningful manner. So thank you very much, sir. Then my special thanks and reverential acknowledgements to Miss Aruna Madam, Miss Sunita Nagpal Madam. When I have contacted through email, immediately after a day, I have got a response from Miss Aruna Madam regarding the intent of Indian Cancer Society to organize a webinar in association with our college. So we have not felt any difficulty in organizing this webinar. The response given by Aruna Madam made me to become happy, so that our institute would like to extend collaborations with Indian Cancer Society as well as GAD TLC in future endeavor for the benefit of the students, as mentioned at the beginning, in terms of internships or small project programs for undergraduate and postgraduate programs. I extend thanks to Ms. Aruna Madam for your wholehearted support in organizing this webinar. Thank you very much, madam.
Well,
also
I
thank-
appreciate Dr. Prasad.
Yes, ma'am.
I still remember when on the 2 days before the valedictory session or the last session, we asked that we would like some participants to speak, to give us the feedback. And
Yes.
Dr. Rajendra Prasad was the first one to volunteer for that. So that's how I remember his name so very well, because he was one of the very few ones who opted to speak. And today I'm seeing the result of his dedication and commitment to the cause. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, madam. It was a wonderful opportunity for me. That's just I can say. And I also extend my thanks to Miss Sunita Nagpal, madam. So despite her busy schedule, so she had made us with wonderful words about the general aspects of cancer, precautionary measures, etc. Thank you very much, madam.
Thank you.
I am very grateful to Dr. Vimal Ra, madam, who is the coordinator of Guru Angad Dev Teaching Learning Center, for having provided this opportunity to our institute to host this webinar with all support, and also in coordination with Indian Cancer Society. Our immense thanks to our beloved principal, Dr. M. Prabhu sir, and my immense thanks to Indian Cancer Society for their valuable collaboration and support in disseminating the knowledge on cancer in this webinar. I thank all the teachers, non-teaching staff, students, and media persons who are online on Zoom as well as watching YouTube live streaming. Thank you one and all. So please, participants, please fill your feedback form. The link of the feedback form has been shared in the chat box of Zoom as well as in the comment box of live YouTube streaming. Please do that. Thank you. Thank you one and all.
Thank you.